Welcome back to another Two Pondering Pagans Weekly Tarot. I am Salann, one half of Rook and Salann, and one half of the Two Pondering Pagans. So let's get started. So today I am going to use a Barbara Moore deck. Usually Steampunk is my go-to, but I am going to use Wizard's Tarot today. In conjunction with the Angels and Ancestors deck, we're going to pull a card from there as well by Kyle Gray. That is also a great deck. So these are the two we're using today. I've always liked Barbara Moore. She writes the interpretations, not always not the artist. The artist on Steampunk, I believe, is Ali Fell. Again, that's my go-to deck. The imagery's pretty easy to read. It's based on Rider-Waite, but it is also, and to me, engaging, and I love steampunk stuff. So there are two steampunk decks that I know of. Both of them are from very respected people, but they are both very different styles. And I have both of them, but I like the Barbara Moore one because it was one of my first commercial decks, I guess, other than a standard Rider-Waite Tarot or Morgan Greer. But anyway, we are going to use the Wizard's Tarot by Barbara Moore and pull 3 or 4 cards today to kind of see what's going on. The last 2 weeks, energetically, have been very crazy, and I want to get a little bit more detail on what we should be working on. We know from past reads that community is extremely important. We know that working with our tribe or with our groups is also very important. But also, within that is allowing community to exist in its own form and not doing what we need to do individually that's a part of this or important to this. So in other words, community is important to get it back together and to go out and to do things and to start getting engaged again in our community. But we still need to keep our eye on those things that make us individually whole and continue those things. Those two things are not mutually exclusive, I guess is the best way to say it. Rook and I are really interested in working in coven work or group work. So we are really trying hard to kind of engage that mindset, but we're certainly, to me, I'm still a independent practitioner or a a solitary witch. I prefer to work alone in those things, but most of the stuff I do with Rook. And then on top of that, I really, really like the idea of working in group or in a coven. So not trying to say we're starting a coven or we're going to do all this major stuff, blah, blah, blah. But we are looking for like-minded people that may want to do some specific rituals and specific group work, whether it's virtual or in person. So if you're interested, let us know. Otherwise, we continue to work with we got our first jumper. Interesting. We'll explain in a minute. But this is different. Like what I'm talking about is different than tribe and community. And it's more of almost a learning for me and Rook as far as ritual practice. We do honorings of the turn of the wheel. We do honorings of deity. We do honorings and blessings and things like that. But we're looking for coven ritual spell work. So that's an unfulfilled need for us that we are working through. And it'll be interesting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull our 3 cards. We had one jump and no others, so we're going to get these lined up here so that you can see them. We ended with 2 majors, 2 minors. Interesting. Lots of blue in this spread too, so I'm finding that's interesting. It's always good to have your themes, but it's going to be interesting part of our discussion today. So our first card is the Fool. And then we have the 6 of Wands, the Moon, and the 4 of Wands. And I'm sure you hear the little ticking of the little Chi-Chis. Hey, Chi-Chi. Bye, Chi-Chi. She came to say hi and then she left. So let's talk about these cards individually first. Let's talk about the Fool. So as traditional tarot would tell us, the Fool is really explaining this new path that we're getting ready to partake on. And I don't think that's news to anybody. With the energy shifts and all the things that have changed in this past couple of weeks, months, years, there has to be a new path at some point. So the Fool tells us to go ahead and step out and take that path. Be wary, though, of things that are going to happen or things that might jump up in front of you or might trip you, because we may be a little foolhardy and we may be just so ready to move forward into a new path that we might jump in head first and then, hit our heads, get a little trauma out of it. But it is a new path and we need to take it, and it's time to move on. There's not a whole lot in the Fool's bag. It's not full, but it has what's needed for the start of the journey. So let's take what we have and really start walking out and stepping out and take that leap or that jump into what's coming. Be open. Be willing to go on the path that looks a little bit more treacherous because we've already been on the other path. But we just have to pay attention. So that's something we're going to want to do. And that's going to actually be apparent in the rest of the cards. So I think that's going to be quite interesting to kind of go into. So think of that. Keep that in mind. This new path or this new taking the jump forward. The Fool is a major arcana. So this is a big thing. So this is big changes coming with you or within you or to you. So let's step into them and work through them. But let's keep that in mind as we talk about the Six of Wands, which is next. So our Wands cards are all about fire and creativity and inspiration, right? And sixes are usually, what's the word? I don't want to say, they're not difficult cards, but they're really about like togetherness or aligning or making things post up, right? Like in order. I want to say alignment, but that's kind of a cheesy to me term. But in the Six of Wands, and this one, especially the Wizard's Tarot, you're going to see magic being made, right? And this is the right smack in the middle of the creative force. You have the 1 through 5 before it, and then you have the 7 through 10 in your court cards after it. So 6 is kind of like right in the middle of the manifestation of that creativity or that inspiration. So really what our Six of Wands is telling us is, let's get in and let's get creative. Let's actually move through the creation that we're working on. You can go on a new path, right? I'm trying to figure out how to best explain this. You can go into a new path with the Fool while working on your creativity and your process as a whole. And I know some of you hate when I say process, and my lack of a better term is just underlining that what we're working on energetically is not something that's just happening. It's been happening. So we need to look within and look at our creativity. We need to look at the whole alignment of things that are around us. Are all of the steps in the right direction, or are they leading actually up to where we're trying to go? So as we take the journey of the Fool into this new area that we're working on, the Six of Wands is really saying, you're aligned. Things are right. It is time to move forward. And Wands are a creativity card and a passion card, but they're also a creation card, right? And a transmutation card. So we have not only the generation of heat, but we have the transition of something that is inert like wood into heat. So that transformation is part of the fire or the wand or the creativity of what's happening. So let's further go into the next card, which is the Moon. So, sorry, I have a dog hair. It's part of the life, we have the Moon. In the Wizard's Tarot, the Moon is actually, to me, a lot easier to understand than in some of our other decks because it really enlarges the whole, idea of contrast. What is perceived as big may not be, and what is perceived as little may not be little. Meaning, our perceptions color how things are. And the moonlight, right? The moonlight changes that perception. It changes the contrast of things. It illuminates things that you may not have otherwise seen in the daylight. But the interesting thing is the sun is brighter, right? So if the sun is so bright, how come some things become illuminated in the moonlight? Well, that's because of the contrast. It's because it illuminates and lights up different aspects of things while others are not lit, causing a contrast. So while the moon may often mean different things in other, traditional tarot, for me, the moon is really about thinking what is in front of you and needs to be brought to light. And that's really important because a lot of the things that we do when it comes to the moon, sorry, I have to look at the card too. You guys will see it on screen, of course, but I'm seeing mine in person. But a lot of imagery in the moon is about that contrast and about that adjustment and about that differentiation, without lack of a better word, right? Now, remember, the moon is typically a feminine aspect of the tarot. It's major arcana. So we're really looking at all of those things that need to be illuminated. So what happens when you're looking at something that needs contrast or needs illumination, right? Well, we end up with fear. We end up with anxiety because we may not see what we need to see. So use this moment of your other cards that are pulled today to kind of illuminate what we're talking of. We're talking of the Fool on a new journey. So we are starting a new journey and we need to take the step. We are using our wands to manifest and create things and actually move forward and align ourselves. And now we're going to see the moon. We are going to fall into fear if we don't listen to our subconscious talkings or our subconscious gut feelings and intuition. So this is a moment, if it feels right, you should do it. If it doesn't feel right, you shouldn't. Now, oftentimes the moon can represent different things like dreams and other things that are happening. It really does require you to take a lot more energy to make it through the path of the moon. So let's use our last card to really tie all this together. And I really, really like that we have two major arcanas and two minors that are both wands. And they're both even. So, I mean, not everybody agrees, but I do believe the numerology has a big effect on our cards. But let's talk about the Four of Wands first. So the Four of Wands is still a creativity card, right? We're still talking about in the realm of fire. So we want to keep that idea. We want to keep that creativity, that creation, that transmutation, that alchemical movement of things. So let's talk about the fours, right? So fours to me are really focused. Fours are really focused on foundational aspects of things, for lack of a better term. Foundational aspects can mean anything from, four walls. The ground beneath you is structured. It represents celebration. It represents harmony because the four pieces are even and together, and they are separated, and they are providing you with a relaxing, calming, settling area, right? Four of Wands generally denotes family. Now, are we talking about real family or are we talking about chosen family? It doesn't matter. It's family. So we've colored the rest of the cards with this Four of Wands to mean that things are very positive, but they are in need of moving in direction. So we have a lot of fire and creativity here. We have a lot of forward energy, but we also have the moon telling us to kind of pay attention to that. Things that may not be illuminated or things that need additional contrast or may be hidden to us. So let's look at the four cards together now. And as we just did, we're going to continue. We're going to reread and do a summary, but we're going to add in the Four of Wands coloring. One thing I do want to just point out before I do that is if you look at the spread, you see lots of blue, and then some different shades, but still blue. And then all of a sudden your Four of Wands has this bright reds and greens and just a lot of yellows and energy in it that aren't in some of the other cards. Now, granted, the Six of Wands also has a lot of energy. All of your Wands card are going to show a lot of energy, but it's a different kind of energy. So this Four of Wands is going to color the rest of the read. You're full. Remember, you're full. We're stepping out on a new journey. We need to jump in head first, but we have to pay attention to our spirit guide. The little dog represents the spirit guide. I did forget to mention that earlier, but that we want to pay attention to it. If the little dog starts barking at somebody, we may want to hold off on trusting them right away. So take a break. But anyway, full journey. Let's do it. We got to get started. We got to start somewhere. We're going to screw this up, but we're going to get moving and we're going to do it right. We will do better using our Six of Wands of paying attention to the alignment of things, but things are aligned. So we're moving forward in the right way. It is time to take that next step. The moon is going to help illuminate those things, but you need to look within and make sure that you're paying attention, or that illumination is going to turn to anxiety and fear. Remember, a little bit of anxiety is a motivational force. Too much anxiety is fear. So work through those things and pay attention. Again, if you are afraid of something when the moon is out and lighting these concepts for you, you are safe. The moon is there to protect you. You will sit and you can identify and you can look at what's going on around you to figure out what the next step is. The moon, while it may cause fear and anxiety in some, it doesn't have to be debilitating, and it can be used to grow into the next step. And then the coloring of these four wands is saying that all of the energies right now are balanced. Our 6 is saying it's in alignment, but this 4 is we are balanced, we are ready. But this is going to involve celebration. This is going to involve joy. It's going to involve family. So the moral of the story is we have been talking week over week about cards telling us to, and it's been back and forth, right? If you go back a couple weeks, or even during the 2 months I was off before that, it was energy, go, 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 stop. Energy, go, 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 stop. And that was us making sure that we are evaluating where we are in each step of the process of what's changing around us in the world. Last 2 weeks, we've been getting nothing but family, community, tribe, working together and getting back together. And now we're getting that go again. It's go, you're aligned, you're ready, things are together, family is important, the structure is up, but pay attention to the little things that might jump out at you. And remember to take a pause and see what's going on. Especially this week, we're going into a full moon. Great time for some amazing energy to work through. So yeah, that's where we are with our read right now. Now, I do want to pull one additional card from a different deck, just because I really like the deck. You know, that's truly the reason. This is The Angels and Ancestors by Kyle Gray. Let me see, does it have the artist? Because I like to include the artist. The artist is Lily Moses. So I'm going to do a couple shuffles here. And we're going to take a single card to see what ancestor do we need to help us through this part of the energy. So who's going to guide us? What type of energy do we need to guide us from an ancestor point? A lot of times when we talk about ancestors, we tend to think of our own personal ancestors. I want to remind you that at some point, I do believe, and I could be wrong, who knows, but we all come from one ancestor. And to me, that's the universal source. But even physically in this world, we come from ancestors. And we have shared ancestors. Most of us, there's the 6 degrees of separation for knowledge, and then there's 12 degrees of separation for relation. So if you look back 12 generations, generally we're going to start sharing a lot of common ancestors. So when we talk ancestors, we're tarking. What is the tarking? Kidding. When we talk ancestors, or when we are talking ancestors, to me it's more of an archetype of all of those that precede us. And what type of energy do they bring that we can ask for or bring into our lives at this moment to kind of give us some extra, you know? So, all right, let's see what we get for our ancestor card this week. I want to bring in some energy here, and we have the Direction Guardian. Okay. So the Direction Guardian, it's funny because it says on the card itself, choose your path. And it really makes me kind of want to say choose your own adventure, you know? I think the choose your own adventure is something that for me has been really kind of just fun. I used to love those as a kid. And I'm going to look it up here because in this particular deck, these have some specific meanings. But so if you look at the card on Direction Guardian and choosing your own path, you're seeing a lot of images, and each one has a different representation. This is really about connecting, deep connections and things that, paths that are going to make your heart and soul sing. So let's use this to color our Fool, right? If we're using the Direction Guardian, and I think I said Direction, I might have said Protection, but Direction Guardian. If we're using the energy of Direction Guardian to color the Fool and all of these things, it is saying that the path that we're supposed to choose is the one that makes us happy right now. We should not be choosing the safe. We should not necessarily choosing the safe unless that's what makes you happy. We should not just be choosing the path that's in front of us or the path that has the least resistance. We really need to choose the path that is taking us to the next level, that is making our heart sing, that is our love. And if we do that, and if we take that path, our ancestor is directing us to be the Fool, to be in alignment, to look at the small things, to look at the structure and to bring in family, and we will be good. We will be fine. I don't believe that our path or destinies are set in stone. I think those things are changeable. And I do find that we tend to forget that or think that things have to be a certain way. I am very guilty of this. It's my whole learning, my whole growth this last couple of months, and probably for the next couple months, if not longer, is about my internal ability to identify what is the song that my heart is singing to direct me into doing the things that make me happy versus the things that I'm told and we are told our whole lives to be productive, to work to the bone, to have a great work ethic, and we end up working our lives away until the joy is gone. If those things are exciting to you and make you feel good, you should do them. But if they're not part of your heart song, you shouldn't. And that's the message. So choose the direction you want to go this time. Make it positive. This doesn't have to be a lifelong. This could be a short endeavor. We are talking about weekly tarot here, right? It could be longer, but anyway. That is it for today's weekly tarot. I hope you enjoy, and if you have any questions, comments, any thoughts, please put them in the comments. Those comments are more important to me than anything. They're more important than subscribing. They're more important than liking, because I want to hear what you think. What is your interpretation of the 4 cards that we pulled this time? Is it different? Is it traditional? I want to hear your ideas and thoughts. It's just so cool to me to see the different styles of reading and to hear what everybody's thinking. So that is it. I am Salann, one half of the 2 Pondering Pagans. Hope you enjoy and have a wonderful week.